The signal. Commander Elena Ray stared at the flickering emergency lights reflected in the viewport of the research vessel Horizon. The silent darkness of deep space stretched before her, broken only by distant stars that offered no comfort. 6 hours earlier, the main propulsion system had suffered a catastrophic failure, leaving the ship stranded in an uncommonly traveled sector of space, nearly 8 light-years from the nearest human outpost. "Damage report complete, Commander," announced Lieutenant Keller, her voice steady despite the situation. "Primary and secondary propulsion systems are beyond field repair. Life support functioning at 92% efficiency. Food and water supplies sufficient for approximately 23 days. Elena nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the red warning lights. "Any response to our distress signal yet?" "Negative, Commander. Signal continues to broadcast on all emergency frequencies." Elena stood and stretched, trying to work out the tension in her shoulders. The Horizon, a mid-sized research vessel with a crew of 15, had been mapping gravitational anomalies in this sector for the past 3 weeks. Now they floated helplessly, their sophisticated equipment useless without the ability to navigate. "Keep broadcasting," Elena ordered. "Someone will pick it up eventually. Meanwhile, have engineering see if they can boost the signal strength without compromising our power reserves." What the crew of the Horizon couldn't know was that their standard distress call had already been received, not by the human rescue vessels they expected, but by the long-range sensors of 7 different alien civilizations. In the command center of the Valkyrie warship Iron Fist, Commander Zorax's ridge of purple spines stiffened with alarm as his communications officer approached with news. "Exalted Commander," the officer reported, his own spines flat against his head in deference, "our sensors have detected a human distress signal from Sector 42 Gamma." Zorax's 6 eyes widened simultaneously. "A human distress signal? Are you certain?" "Yes, Commander. The signal pattern matches known human emergency protocols." Zorax rose from his command chair, towering over his subordinate. The Valkyrie were massive reptilian beings, evolved from apex predators on a harsh world of extremes. Their species had survived by developing extraordinary physical resilience and a strict honor code that valued strength above all else. "Alert the battle group," Zorax ordered. "Set course immediately." The communications officer hesitated. "Commander, it is only a single human vessel." "You don't understand," Zorax replied grimly. "Humans never signal for help unless facing absolute annihilation. Their durability is minimal. They require precise atmospheric conditions, narrow temperature ranges, and constant sustenance. If they're broadcasting distress, the situation must be catastrophic." Similar scenes unfolded across the sector. The Medusan Collective, beings of semi-corporeal energy, diverted 3 consciousness vessels toward the human signal. The insectoid Tritheri dispatched their most advanced medical ship, preparing treatment chambers for radiation poisoning, oxygen deprivation, and genetic damage. The crystalline Phison, normally isolationist, launched their fastest scout ships to investigate what they assumed must be a cosmic anomaly of unprecedented proportions. None of these species understood humans, not truly. Each had evolved with vastly different physiologies and survival strategies. The Valkyrie could survive open vacuum for short periods. The Medusans existed primarily as energy patterns that could transfer between physical vessels. The Trithari possessed redundant organs and rapid regeneration capabilities. The Phison could enter dormant states for centuries if necessary. Because of their own resilience, these species only sent distress signals in the most extreme circumstances, planet-wide disasters, extinction-level events, or cosmic anomalies that threatened entire star systems. They naturally assumed humans operated the same way. On the Horizon, Elena was reviewing power conservation protocols with her crew when Lieutenant Keller's voice came urgently over the intercom. "Commander, sensors detecting a massive ship approaching at high velocity. Configuration unknown. Definitely not human." Elena rushed to the bridge, arriving just as the vessel dropped out of FTL travel less than 5,000 kilometers away, practically point-blank range in space terms. The alien ship was enormous, at least 20 times the size of the Horizon, its hull covered in what appeared to be weaponry and armor plating. Open communications, Alina ordered. Standard first contact protocols. Before they could transmit, their communication system activated with an incoming transmission. The view screen flickered, revealing a massive reptilian alien with multiple eyes and purple spinal ridges. Human vessel. The alien spoke in heavily accented but understandable English. This is Commander Zorax of the Valkyrie warship Iron Fist. We have received your extinction alert and have come to render assistance. Report the nature of the catastrophe. Helena blinked in confusion. Extinction alert. This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth research vessel Horizon. We've experienced a propulsion system failure and are requesting assistance with repairs or transport. All crew are safe, and we have sufficient supplies for several weeks. Now it was the alien commander's turn to look confused, his multiple eyes blinking in an unsynchronized pattern. You are not dying? Zorax asked, his translator struggling to convey his bewilderment. No, Elena replied slowly. Our ship is disabled, but we're in no immediate danger. The alien commander seemed to consult with others off-screen, his spines fluctuating in what Elena guessed was agitation or confusion. Then why, Zorax finally asked, did you send a distress signal across all frequencies? Before Elena could answer, Lieutenant Keller interrupted. Commander, sensors are detecting multiple ships entering the area. Various configurations, all non-human. On the view screen, Commander Zorax's spines flared. The others have arrived as well. The Trithari, the Medusans, even the Phizon. Your signal has mobilized the largest multi-species response in recent galactic history. Elena's mouth fell open as she processed this information. All this for a routine distress call. Routine. Zorax's translator conveyed his incredulity perfectly. Human, in Valkyrie culture, we would only broadcast a distress signal if at least half our crew were dead, and our ship was moments from total destruction. Understanding dawned on Elena. What had been standard operating procedure for humans had been interpreted as a death knell by species with completely different physiological capabilities and cultural norms. Commander Zorax, she said carefully, I believe we have a significant cultural misunderstanding to address. Perhaps you could come aboard our vessel so we can discuss this further. As the massive alien ship prepared to send a boarding party, Elena gazed at the sensor readings showing more alien vessels arriving by the minute. Her simple distress call had inadvertently assembled representatives from across the galactic community, species that had rarely, if ever, cooperated before. Well, she murmured to herself, this is either the biggest diplomatic incident in human history or the greatest opportunity for interspecies cooperation we've ever encountered. Little did she know it would prove to be both. The protocol. The conference room of the Valkyrie flagship Iron Fist had never been designed to accommodate so many different species. Engineers had hastily modified environmental systems to create zones of appropriate atmosphere, temperature, and gravity for each delegation. At the center of the room, Commander Elena Reyes sat at a specially designed table, feeling very small among the various alien representatives. Let me understand this correctly, said Ambassador Trill of the insectoid Trithari, her mandibles clicking with each translated word. You humans send distress signals, preventatively. We send them when we need assistance, Elena explained for what felt like the dozenth time. It's not about being on the brink of death. It's about communicating a problem before it becomes life-threatening. The crystalline Phizon representative pulsed with blue light, their method of expressing confusion. In the last 10 millennia, the Phizon have broadcast exactly 2 distress signals. The first when a supernova threatened our homeworld. The second when a dimensional rift nearly consumed our central consciousness matrix. Commander Zorax of the Valkyrie leaned forward, his massive frame dwarfing the human captain. The concept is alien to us. Valkyrie warriors would rather die than request aid, except in the most catastrophic circumstances. It is a matter of honor. Elena took a deep breath. This was the heart of the misunderstanding. A fundamental difference in how species viewed vulnerability and cooperation. She decided to change tactics. "Let me tell you about human history," she began. Humans evolved on a planet with countless environmental threats and predators. We weren't the strongest, fastest, or most durable species. We couldn't hibernate for years like the Phison, regenerate limbs like the Trithari, or survive radiation like the Valkyrie. The aliens listened with growing interest. What we developed instead was cooperation, the ability to communicate danger, to warn others, to work together to overcome threats. Early humans survived not because we were individually powerful, but because we created systems to protect our most vulnerable members and respond to dangers collectively. She tapped a control panel, displaying historical images from Earth, early warning systems for natural disasters, Coast Guard vessels responding to stranded ships, rescue workers digging through rubble after earthquakes. "These are from our history," she explained. "Long before we reached space, humans developed the understanding that early warnings save lives. We don't wait until we're dying to ask for help. That would be inefficient and cost lives unnecessarily." A representative from the Medusan collective, appearing as a swirling pattern of light inside a containment suit, moved closer. "This is why your species advanced technologically so quickly. Your cooperation accelerated innovation." "Precisely," Elena agreed. "And we brought these same protocols into space. Our distress signals aren't last gasps. They're preventative measures designed to solve problems before they become life-threatening." The room fell silent as the alien delegations processed this information. Finally, Commander Zorex spoke again. "While I understand your explanation, the fact remains that your routine signal mobilized emergency resources from 7 species. Resources that might have been needed elsewhere for genuine catastrophes." Ambassador Trill's mandibles clicked in agreement. The Trithari medical vessel diverted from its planned destination was carrying treatments for a viral outbreak on one of our colonies. Elena felt a weight settle in her stomach. The ambassador was right. Their cultural misunderstanding had potentially serious consequences. Lives could have been endangered because alien species had misinterpreted a routine human distress call as an extinction-level event. "You're absolutely right," she acknowledged. "This miscommunication could have had severe repercussions, which is why I propose we create a standardized galactic emergency protocol." She tapped her tablet, displaying a simple diagram of tiered response levels. "On Earth, we developed systems that distinguished between different emergency levels. A Level 1 emergency might be a minor mechanical failure. Level 5 might be imminent ship destruction. Each level would have standardized signals and appropriate response protocols." The Phison representative pulsed with interest. "A hierarchy of distress." "Exactly," Elena continued, her confidence growing. "We could establish a galactic emergency response system, GERS, with clear guidelines that all species could understand. It would prevent misunderstandings like this and ensure resources are allocated appropriately." The Medusan representative's light pattern shifted. "This has merit. Our consciousness vessels are valuable resources. Knowing precisely what level of response is needed would increase efficiency by 78.3%. For the next several hours, the impromptu summit discussed the logistics of implementing such a system. The Trithari, with their hive mind efficiency, suggested categorization frameworks. The Valkyrie, experts in military logistics, proposed response hierarchies. The Medusans calculated optimal resource allocation models. The Phison, with their millennia of historical records, provided context for how such systems had been attempted in the past. What had begun as a potential diplomatic disaster was transforming into unprecedented cooperation. Elena watched with growing amazement as age-old rivals collaborated on the framework of the new protocol. By the time the initial framework was agreed upon, she could hardly believe what they had accomplished. The Horizon Protocol, Commander Zorax announced, using the name they had collectively chosen to honor the human vessel that had inadvertently brought them together. A standardized emergency response system that respects the physiological and cultural differences between our species while establishing clear communications protocols. Elena smiled, exhausted but proud. It will save lives across the galaxy. Ambassador Trill approached the human commander, her insectoid form looming over Elena. Your species' vulnerability has created an unexpected strength. The Trithari would have never considered such preventative measures. We simply regenerate when damaged. But your approach is more efficient. Necessity is the mother of invention, Elena quoted. Humans had to develop these systems because we couldn't survive otherwise. As the delegations prepared to depart, Commander Zorax took Elena aside. When we first received your signal, I thought we were rushing to witness the final moments of a doomed species, the Valkyrie admitted. Instead, we have learned that there are different kinds of strength. The Valkyrie value physical resilience and honor in battle. But there is also strength in acknowledging vulnerability and creating systems to protect the weakest members. Elena nodded. Different evolutionary paths, different solutions to survival. Indeed, Zorax agreed. And now, thanks to your disabled vessel, we have created something unprecedented. A galactic safety net that transcends our biological differences. 6 weeks later, Elena stood on the observation deck of Earth's Orbital Diplomatic Center, watching as representatives from 27 species gathered for the formal signing of the Horizon Protocol. What had begun as a simple mechanical failure had evolved into the most significant diplomatic breakthrough in human history. A junior officer approached with a tablet. Commander Rise, you've received a priority message from Galactic Central. The first official GER's Level 2 distress call has been received from a Trithari scientific vessel studying a neutron star. Thanks to the new protocol, the nearest Valkyrie patrol ship is already en route with the appropriate equipment. Elena smiled. The universe remained vast and dangerous, filled with beings who had evolved in radically different ways to survive its challenges. But now, for perhaps the first time, those differences were becoming strengths rather than barriers. All because one small human ship had broken down and done what came naturally to humans. Asked for help before it was too late.